In a world where fantasy football has taken over the land, two unlikely heroes will arise. They call themselves the Fantasy Football Apocalypse. But who are they?
Trent and Jeremy. Trent and Jeremy. Trent and Jeremy. Trent and Jeremy. Trent and Jeremy, yes, they are the boys. When it comes to fantasy advice, they got the noise. One's a little loud, and he's far from cautious. His voice alone will turn your stomach nauseous. MC number 2, well, it's just not that simple. Some would even question that he's borderline mental. These two combined will try to be funny, but their main goal is to try to make you money, 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 money.
Oh, yes! Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's another week of the Fantasy Football Apocalypse. I am Trent Scott, joined, as always, by Jeremy Scott.
What is going on, everybody? Another fun week this last weekend. Things actually went a little bit more according to plan, so it's a lot better assessment of a fantasy week. We got a lot of good picks today. Trent, how'd your week end up?
Pretty good. I believe I am now 2-0 against you this season and working my way to our $100 bet.
Yeah, some injuries have gone your way, but don't worry, I'll come back. No more messing around. So, what we've done is we're trying to really fine-tune it. It's always a work in progress, of course. What we've decided on FanDuel now is the quarterback position. We're always selecting under $7,000. $7,500. And then running backs and wide receivers is going to be under $7,000. And then when it comes to tight ends, basically we set the parameter at Greg Olsen. Anybody under Greg Olsen, because they have him at $5,900 in FanDuel, along with Tyler Eifert. So we're really reaching to try to help you guys get some cheap picks to produce so you can maximize that budget on the stud players.
Right, and that really, the whole point of this show was, it's the apocalypse. It's to find those cheap players. So by putting an actual number on it, it's going to kind of help us towards our goal as well, to really help you guys find those sleeper picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Trent, rattle us off. Name some of our best picks from last week.
So last week, how about, you, Jeremy, Carson Palmer, dropped the 21 spot.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I had my wide receivers both did great. Terrence Williams with 18, Jarvis Landry with 19.
Pretty solid. And Jarvis is no longer part of our thing, so that's our first good call of the year. We have some picks today that I'm excited actually on both sides for both of us what we've selected. So, Trent, let's go ahead and get started into the meat of it.
All right, so getting things started this week, my quarterback after riding Marcus Mariota for 2 weeks, going to mix things up here. I'm going with Andy Dalton. He had a pretty solid start to the season so far. We all know how great A.J. Green is. Tyler Eifert has emerged as possibly, a top 5 tight end this year. And they get to take on the Ravens, who were torched yesterday, or this week I should say, by Derek Carr and the Raiders. So as much as I like Derek Carr long term, I still don't think he's quite great. So if he can do that, I like Andy Dalton's chances.
Well, the numbers don't lie, Trent. Look what Derek Carr did to the Ravens defense as opposed to Peyton Manning. I think we may have a new great in the making. But no, I do like Derek Carr, but that's a side note. I like the Dalton pick. He's thrown 5 touchdowns, no picks, like 465 yards, something like that. And he's really seems like he's kind of dialed into his own. That's even with the run game not necessarily working. And I guess Gio did run pretty well, but it has not been a dominant run game like it had been previously last year. However, I still am pretty leery of the Ravens' defense. It was pretty weird what they did in Oakland, but it was also, it was at Oakland. It's a weird stadium in itself. It just depends on what Ravens' defense is going to show up. Is it going to be the ones that bottled up Peyton Manning, or is it going to be the ones that let Derek Carr go crazy? I'm in support of that pick, though. I think Dalton would be a great FanDuel pick. I actually picked him in one last week, so I like the pick there.
All right, so Jeremy, who's going to be your quarterback this week?
All right, I'm going with someone who's very dear to Trent's heart. I'm going with Marcus Mariota. He's had 2 good games so far, don't see why he wouldn't follow up with a third good one. They're playing the Indianapolis Colts. It's a home game, so that'll be good. It's Marcus's first game at home. Definitely going to be pumped up from the crowd, I think. Also, he's looking good. He's coming into his own. Should get Delaney Walker back as well. I know that will help tremendously. I like him again against the Colts. I mean, we saw what Tyrod Taylor did, and obviously Tyrod Taylor is the better comparison between Fitzpatrick and Tyrod Taylor compared to Mariota. So I think Mariota has a similar game, and I could definitely see him getting 15 plus this week. What do you think, Trent?
Yeah, it's good to see you taking my sloppy seconds. Makes me feel really proud to see Mariota getting picked again this week. I just, I like him. I like Dalton a little bit more this week, but overall, I don't think Mariota is a bad play.
Well, Trent, let's move to running backs. Give us your running back position.
So my running back, I'm going with the guy who I guess you could also say is near and dear to my heart, as he's apparently the starting running back for my favorite team. That could kind of be a dicey situation because you never know what Bill Belichick is thinking. But I'm going with Dion Lewis. He kind of emerged onto the scene week 1. I think he had 14 points week 1. Followed that up with a touchdown yesterday. He looked really good. LeGarrette Blount only had 2 carries. And best of all, they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they should get up early and really not have much of an issue. So I'm going with Dion Lewis.
That's a Jacksonville Jaguars team coming off probably, a win beating the rightful Super Bowl champions of 2016. But anyway, Dion Lewis, here's the thing. Dion Lewis, he's going to be good, especially when their Patriots are throwing the ball, which it seems like they're 100% committed to throwing the ball this year and not running. However, it's going to be the time where you're going to have that game where Dion Lewis is going to flop. He's just going to get 0 because of game flow. Or the thing is that I don't understand is he's fumbled twice in 2 games, and Belichick has not benched him yet. So is he bench-proof, or is it just because LeGarrette is not back into form? I don't know what's going on there. I'm a little leery of the pick, however, not leery enough to oppose it, I guess. I do like the pick. I think Dion Lewis will be a good pick this week.
All right, so Jeremy, who's going to be your first running back this week?
I'm going with a guy that's for some reason still under 7,000, but Latavius Murray is the real deal. I've been preaching his good news since our first podcast of the year. So Latavius is playing Cleveland. I mean, we've all seen how bad their defense is, especially against that position. I think, they're 25 against the run. Latavius he's going to do his thing. Also, he had his best game of the season against a defense in Baltimore that was supposed to. I mean, they shut down Peyton Manning and the Broncos. So Latavius Murray is the real deal, and he's getting true bell cow reps. He's an every down back. I personally like that, especially against that juicy Cleveland matchup.
Yeah, I think this is going. Like we said at the start of the show, we're now putting a $7,000 cap on our picks. Latavius Murray is at $6,900 this week. I have a feeling this is the last time Jeremy's going to be able to pick him. So, any reason for Murray to struggle? He's looked great so far, and I expect him to continue looking great.
Yeah, I think that's great information added. So, who's your second running back, Trent?
So, my second running back, admittedly, this one's a bit of a gamble. He's only looked okay the first 2 weeks, but I'm going with Joseph Randle simply because I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are going to trust Brandon Weeden to try and win them games. Thus, I think Joseph Randle is going to get 20, maybe even 25 carries. So I think Joseph Randle could be in line for, say, 85 yards and a touchdown this week, because I think they're going to be depending a lot on the running game going forward.
He very well could. I'm against this pick. There's too much of a mess back there. I mean, Darren McFadden is their power guy. If they turn to a running game, it's more than likely that McFadden will be the beneficiary of a game flow. I think they're going to be down. I mean, the Falcons put up points in a hurry. Losing Romo just changes things completely. I personally think that more teams are going to be stacking the box and shutting down the run even more. I mean, again, I could be wrong, but that's my thought process with it. With Taylor Weeden back there, I would make him absolutely beat me through the air. The thing I do like is the boys are playing the Falcons. Their defense is the worst. We will be abusing Atlanta's defense all year long through our podcast. They're 32nd against the run, and they're horrible against the pass as well. Odell Beckham just lit them up, and then Jordan Matthews did the week before. So, Joseph Randle, I'm staying away from him this week.
All right. Well, if you're staying away from Randle, who are you going after?
This is a conditional pick. If Eddie Lacy misses the game, I go with James Starks. He's going to be the every down back in that system, and he gets a lot of catches typically. I really like Starks emerging well out of that one. They're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who they are a good defense. But again, the fact that Starks can get his catches, that makes me confident in that pick. However, if Lacy does play, do not touch him. Get Danny Woodhead. Danny Woodhead is, Mr. Consistent, I guess. He's good for 15 a week. Typically not through the ground, more than likely through the air. Phillip Rivers absolutely trusts in him, and I think Woodhead continues to be a solid fantasy player for the rest of the season.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I don't even know why you're making this conditional pick. If I was you, I would just flat out take Danny Woodhead. Melvin Gordon had 88 yards yesterday, but like you said, that doesn't really matter. Melvin Gordon could get 20 carries, and Danny Woodhead's still going to find a way to have 6 or 7 catches. So, and then as far as the James Starks idea is concerned, he's okay. We've seen him in the past. That's really about all I can say for him is he's okay. But Woodhead I like. Woodhead I definitely like.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. So moving over to wide receivers now, we're going to start off with Trent's number one.
Yeah, so my number one wideout this week, we talked earlier about what his quarterback did yesterday. Derek Carr and the Raiders look like a high potent offense, so I'm going with the guy who I think is their number one receiver, although after yesterday that's not entirely clear. But I'm going with Amari Cooper, the rookie wide receiver. We had so much success with rookie wide receivers last year. I thought, why not give it a go again this year? So I'm going with Cooper.
Oh, I love the pick. I think Amari Cooper is the real deal. Watch out. The Raiders have a lot of young talent. If they can somehow keep them together with, Jack Del Rio, maybe a good head coach again. But I think that he could have a good week. We're gonna do a side note real quick. I just got a trade offer in the league. Yeah, let's see what we got. I'm in a position. I need an RB2, so I'm on an RB2 search. I propose Terrence Williams for Danny Woodhead. And in return, I got Brandon Cooks and Woodhead for Cobb. Not bad. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I would not give up Randall Cobb if I was you.
No, Cobb will be. I personally think he'll be top, 5, but he's going to be top 10 for sure. Not a bad trade offer though, but I'm just Cooks is a liar. It's that simple. All right, back to the podcast, Trent. So my number one wide receiver is I'm going to go with Allen Robinson. Blake Bortles looked like the reincarnation of Derek Carr to me. He looked good. He was just dialing in on Allen Robinson. He had 12 targets, which is something that I would rather have 15 targets and 2 catches than have 3 catches and 3 targets for a touchdown. Because if the targets are going that way, my philosophy. Odds are it's a better chance to produce. If he's going to dial in on Allen Robinson like we all were hoping and thought they were at the beginning of the season, Allen Robinson is going to be dangerous. So I like that pick this week. I think Allen Robinson will follow up. I don't think he's getting 30-something points again, but I definitely think he follows up with a big game.
Robinson, for those who didn't see it, 6 catches, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
He went off.
And, Jeremy, I'm sure you were watching that game because it was against the Dolphins, so if you're picking him, he must have really looked as good as those numbers sound.
Oh, if you would have seen me during that game, especially when Homeboy got that penalty with 20 seconds left, or 40 seconds left, whatever, I was ready to break my TV. But go ahead, Trent. What's your second wide receiver?
So my second wide receiver, again, this is sort of a gamble. It's a familiar name because of the season he had last year, but I'm going with Jeremy Maclin. Of course, like I said, he was a huge player in fantasy last year. He changed teams, though, to the Chiefs. who of course went the entire season last year without throwing a touchdown to a wide receiver. So they badly needed somebody of his caliber at the position. 2 weeks in, he has yet to get a touchdown. I think this is the week that changes. I think this is the week Alex Smith finally connects with a wide receiver. They're going up against the Green Bay Packers on Monday night. The Packers notoriously have a bad defense. So I'm going with Jeremy Maclin.
It's a bit of a stretch, and I don't know. I love Maclin from last year. I'm just partial to him, just because he was so good for Philadelphia. His detriment is obviously Alex Smith. I mean, I would not be surprised if Maclin does not have over 100 yards in one game, but still have 80 to 95 catches or something like that. He's definitely a possession guy, and the odds of him getting in the end zone, I don't like. What I do like, though, is the Packers' defense is not good, typically, so I could see it, but it is a bit of a reach here, I think. All
right, so Jeremy, I went with a familiar name for my second wide receiver. I think your name might be even more familiar.
I'm going with a very familiar name. Larry Fitzgerald, actually one of the greats of all time. I really like Carson Palmer's looking good. He's got all his weapons, receivers, they're healthy. Fitzgerald's had 8 targets, 9 targets in consecutive. He had 6 for 87 week 1 and 8 for 112 with 3 touchdowns yesterday. Now, don't see 3 touchdowns happening again, but I absolutely see what's that?
So way to go out on a limb there. You don't think he's scoring 3 touchdowns?
I don't think it's going to happen, but it might. No. San Francisco their defense is just a mess. They're 27th against the pass. I think Fitzgerald has a 15-plus week this week.
So then let's go ahead and move on to tight ends then, as we're heading towards the end of the show. My tight end this week, a guy who I think I picked him a couple of times at the end of last year, and he looks great so far 2 weeks in. I'm going with Jordan Reed. He looks like the top target in Washington's passing game, which may not necessarily be that great of a passing game, but he's still the number 1 target there. He had 6 catches for 82 yards this week, and so I'm going with him again.
I'm a big Jordan Reed fan. I have him as my starting tight end in one league. Actually, 2 leagues. One of them of the big money leagues. I'm a big Jordan Reed fan. He's athletic. He makes big catches. Anytime he's healthy, he makes big plays. Also have the Giants this week, so I like the matchup. I think Jordan Reed has a good game this week. Good pick.
Okay, so Jeremy, final pick of the show. Who do you got at tight end?
I'm going to ride Ladarius Green again. Now, I know he did not hit double digits. He almost did. He got 9. He still got another 6 targets. Phillip Rivers definitely trusts in him, and there's, I don't know if you guys watched the game, but there were some other ways that Ladarius could have had some more points. It just didn't work out that way. I still like him in that offense. The Chargers are just gunslinging the ball, so I think Ladarius Green can be the beneficiary of a good game this week.
Yeah, pretty much have the same thoughts about him this week that I had last week when you picked him. He's okay. It's a short-term play. Antonio Gates will be back after week 4, so use him while you can. He's middle of the road. He's exactly, you're going to get 9, 10, maybe 12 points out of him, and that's about it. He's not going to have a terrible game. He's not going to have a super game. He's going to be right in the middle.
He's solid. He's consistent. He's a great FanDuel tight end to get because he's cheap and he'll get you, right around 10 to 15.
So those are our picks this week. Jeremy, do you have any other guys that you maybe want to spotlight this week before we sign off?
Tyler Eifert is still pretty cheap, and I guess he's proven that he's the real deal. That's something that I was very impressed with. Monitor the Jeremy Hill, Giovanni Bernard situation. I don't really know what's going on there, to be honest, but I don't think it's time to sell low on Jeremy Hill yet, but with Gio basically answering the call, that's scary. And I would give C.J. Anderson about 1 more week before I decided to reevaluate his, his value. What do you think about that one, Trent?
C.J. Anderson looks like an utter disaster. I feel bad for people that made him their first-round pick. I know you were super high on him, Jeremy. It just hasn't worked out for whatever reason. I mean, he's not even averaging 3 yards a carry right now. That whole thing just looks like a mess.
Yes, but you have to give him one more week because I mean, if Kubiak likes his job, he's going to have to incorporate more shotgun. Because we all saw what happened with when Peyton went into the shotgun. They scored two touchdowns and a field goal from that, and then the I formation they didn't do anything. So keep an eye on that situation, and don't touch Amir Abdullah like I've been saying all year long.
The one pick I bombed on.
Yeah, and that probably cost some of our listeners their fantasy week.
Well, you win some, you lose some.
Well, everybody, we appreciate you guys listening. We'll see you next week. We're going to have another guest on here the next week or two, so we'll keep you posted on that. Again, any questions you have, we will look forward to answering them. Hope you guys have a great fantasy week. See you next week.